And now, direct your attention to the field for the presentation of the Vince Lombardi Trophy. And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Welcome into RBLR Sports, the podcast about sports in the city of champions, the area now affectionately known as Champa Bay. This show, we will be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, our 2020 National Football League World Champions, with 5 exclamation points. Dear listener, would you have thought that your Tampa Bay Bucks would be the landing spot for Mr. Super Bowl himself, the ageless Tom Brady? Would you have guessed that your Tampa Bay Bucks would be the first ever team to play and win at home for the big game? Dear listener, would you have imagined that your Tampa Bay Bucks would go through 3 probable Hall of Fame quarterbacks and the league's top defenses and offenses en route to their second Lombardi Trophy? Well, we did at RBLR, of course. My name is Eureka, and with me on this great day to get drunk at a boat parade are Chris, Musab, and Mikey. Chris, what is going on, man?
Still in the Super Bowl mode, man. Still feeling the victory dance, and the parade today was great. Wish I could have gone. Saw a lot of videos. Looked like the team had a great time, and just in a really, really good mood, man.
Crazy, man. Mikey, tell me, what is going on, man? How are you doing, brother?
Oh, man, I haven't taken this smile off my face, man. It's been a great few days. I'm happy to be a Bucs fan. I'm happy that we finally made it to the promised land, and we delivered and delivered with a solid victory, man, that we'll remember forever.
Yes, sir.
I'm happy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Musab, man, what is going on? How are you doing, sir?
Dreams really do come true, gentlemen. Since I've been here since 2005, our Bucs haven't made the playoffs, and now when they finally did, they won the Super Bowl here in Tampa Bay. So it really does feel amazing. It's still surreal to me. And just like Mikey was saying, I mean, I still got a smile on my face. And I'll tell you this right now, I got my Fire the Cannons hat I'm repping right now as we speak.
Now, of course, we are here to talk about that 31-9 victory over the reigning, defending, and now defeated Kansas City Chiefs. Before we get into some of the things, I kind of wanted to go back. We all predicted a Bucs victory. Of course we did, okay? But what was crazy is that, I predicted a 2-point victory. Chris had a 3-point victory. Musab had a 4-point victory. But Mikey, you were the one with the most, you had the crystal ball because you said they would win by 6 points. Well, we were all completely wrong because the Bucs came firing all of the cannons in a 31-9 victory.
Dominance.
Crazy, man. I mean, there was no way anyone could have predicted this lopsided of a victory. Musab, I'll go to you first, man. Who was your Super Bowl MVP for this game?
My Super Bowl MVP for the game has to go to Rob Gronkowski.
All right.
And the reason why I say this is throughout the whole season, he had its ups and downs. He had his role where he was blocking more. He's had his times where, he was getting some good catches and some touchdowns in. To be honest, I wasn't expecting him to rack up 2 touchdowns. But both of them were beautiful, just route running and beautiful opportunities for him to just run to the touchdown as well and catch one in the touchdown end zone as well. That's why I have to go to him. He was really just shining throughout the whole time. And the reason why I put him as MVP as well is because, once he racked up that first touchdown, I think it kind of showed the Chiefs that, all right, well, this guy's a threat. The Tom Brady, Gronkowski little chemistry it's still there. So for that reason, my MVP was Rob Gronkowski. I mean, it was it was so beautiful to see him, get 2 touchdowns. And maybe I'm a little biased because I was wearing his jersey, on the game day. But I really will say I wasn't expecting. I thought someone like Mike Evans was about to go off or something. But I'm really happy that Gronkowski was able to get these 2 touchdowns, especially with a different team, but with his same buddy Tom Brady.
Yeah, Gronkowski, 6 receptions on 7 targets for 67 yards. He was 2 yards away from a really nice day, but he did have 2 touchdowns, and those 2 touchdowns broke a playoff touchdown record, breaking the tie with Montana and Jerry Rice. Brady to Gronkowski has happened 13 times, and that is the best of any 2 receivers in the playoffs. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That's an awesome stat.
Mikey, who was your MVP for the Super Bowl?
MVP for their Super Bowl. Can we change it from most valuable player to most valuable person?
Yeah, come on.
Because if we could do that, Todd Bowles would be my MVP.
Boom.
I mean, that defense was lights out. Who would have ever expected the Kansas City Chiefs to not score a touchdown?
Crazy.
I mean, they scored 9 points, man. That's unheard of. I don't think anyone in their wildest drunken night could have ever predicted something like that. Defensive line came to play. They had Patrick Mahomes running around like a chicken with his head cut off. And to Patrick Mahomes' credit, he was still able to get the rock off and still able to hit receivers in the chest. But the defensive backs played hard. They played physical. They were in the receiver's face, and that blocked them from making those catches. So we had a complete defensive win from the defensive line to the linebackers to the DBs. The game plan was stellar, and I would give my MVP, most valuable person, award to defensive coordinator Todd Bowles.
Yeah, what was it? Was there anything that really stood out about Bowles' game plan that just kind of like piqued your into? Whoa, we weren't expecting that.
I mean, they played man with covered like a cover 2 man or 2 safeties on top. I mean, they just applied pressure. They didn't blitz, which was a little bit surprising, but it was somewhat of a vanilla defense. Let the guys up front dominate, man up your guy, and shadow those weapons in Hill and in Kelsey. So I think it was just a well executed plan. Nothing too crazy, but just well done.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like old school, back to basics. Just let's win your match, win your matchup. Hell yeah! Now that defense, 3 sacks on the day, 2 interceptions against Mahomes, and like Mikey, you said, 0 touchdowns. 0, not 1, 0, 0 touchdowns. And now on 3rd down, they only converted 3 3rd downs the entire game, and I think they maybe converted a 4th down if I looked up the box score here, but all in all, just I know us in the group chat, we were going crazy about this defense. Chris, who is your MVP of the Super Bowl?
Originally, I picked Brady. Okay. So I'm going to switch that up, and I'm going to have to piggyback with Mike on this one, and I'm going to go with the entire defense itself.
Solid.
I mean, that was a really impressive performance. I mean, if I had to pick one total player on defense, it'd have to be Devin White. I mean, for the way he played, 12 total tackles, 8 solos, 2 tackles for loss, an interception, and then he had a pass deflection too. I mean, he was all over the place that game. He was hitting hard. He was on the, he was covering his guys. He played smart. I mean, the whole defense just played phenomenal, man. I mean, to say we were going to hold Mahomes to no TDs, and we, like Mike said, we really didn't blitz much. We let the D line do its thing, and it worked out, and it caused a lot of pressure on Mahomes. And Mahomes, man, he had no time in the pocket, and it was just a really, really, really impressive performance from start to finish from the defense. That in the beginning of the season, we were all sitting here questioning the secondary. Can these guys hold up with the top teams in the league? And we got smoked that first game against the Chiefs. And man, they came to play. And man, it's hard to take anything away from our defense in that game.
Yeah, and I say we could have even said 3 other people on defense. Like I said, this was an insane defensive effort, and there are so many people that could have we could have
You could throw
made
Shaq in there. You could throw Winfield in there.
You know, JPP 3 tackles, 1 pass deflection, and that doesn't even really tell the story of his constant assault. JPP just causing havoc up front with that 4, because with enough pressure from that front 4, it really allowed that secondary to play that deep coverage, to play the man coverage, to do all the crazy things that they needed to do to keep, you know, a Tyreek Hill and all these guys down. We could have talked about, you know, we were talking about Sack Barrett, right? 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 4 quarterback hits. And then, of course, we could chuck up a deuce with Antoine Winfield Jr., the rookie, with an interception, and just with, I mean, we were talking about Rocky, right? Musab brought up Rocky and Apollo Creed, and we keep talking about this. You go first act, a guy that goes for over 200 yards on you, does a backflip in the end zone, and then you come up with just this amazing comeback, stifle him for under, you know, he had 73 yards, but for anybody else, that's a great day at the office. For Tyreek Hill, that is like having concrete shoes on, man. Myself, I guess we'll talk about the guy who did win Super Bowl MVP. They gave it to the 7-time champion, Tom M.F. Brady. I mean, you look at the stat line of the defense. I mean, Chris, you brought up Devin White, man. I mean, that is like Von Miller MVP level. 12 tackles, 8 solo. Like you said, a pass deflection, intercept. Like, there isn't a thing he could have added other than maybe like a sack or something, a fumble recovery. He pretty much did everything. But then you took a look at the other side of the ball, and those 31 points coming from Tom Brady going 21 of 29, 3 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions. He's only sacked once on the whole day, and he came up with a huge botched snap recovery. So he's filling up the stat line as well on his route to his 7th out of 10 championships. Just a crazy day all around. I mean, was there, I guess I'll go back around. Who was maybe the X factor or the unsung hero? I guess, Musab, I'll take it to you, man. Was there a person that stood up in this game that that wasn't maybe an MVP but was another solid contributor?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have to say Mr. Playoff Lenny. Okay. I mean, first of all, the guy had 16 carries for 89 yards, and then he had 4 receptions for 46 yards. So he was doing a little bit of everything, and I think that's what kind of separated us from, the Kansas City Chiefs, is we had a guy who was ready to do a little bit of both. And while Ronald Jones also did really well, Playoff Lenny, he had those really important drives, those drives that also were kind of hype. They really pumped up the team. Getting those first downs, especially some of those hard hits. He was kind of, getting towards, the linebackers and safeties. He was showing the Chiefs that, we are the real deal. And one of his carries led to a touchdown as well. So overall, I don't know if I want to just specifically title him as someone like an unsung hero, but I would probably say that the game was just, the way we performed was just a little, I would say actually very different compared to how we've been playing in the past against a lot of other teams, including the Chiefs in Week 12. No one expected, like I mentioned before, Gronkowski to rack up 2 touchdowns and do this much like he did this last game. We were even giving the ball to Joe Haig and Tanner Hudson, who had their opportunities as well. So, things were a little different, and I just think that, Leonard Fournette was someone that, could, I don't know, I want to say play it safe, but definitely someone that you could count on saying, okay, hey, listen, we're in the lead. We still need to just take control of the ball, keep this possession as long as we can, whether that means we get a field goal or a touchdown. And, who can we count on? We can count on, Mr. Leonard Fournette to do that. He took us down the field a lot, many drives, And I think that's just something that, you know, I saw was him, and along with, I mean, the rest of his teammates, but specifically him in the run game, was he was exhausting the defense a lot. And with his physicality, I mean, he's not just your typical average running back. You know, I mean, this guy, he is a mean machine, and, you know, you're going to have to put a lot of work in to try to tackle this guy. So for that reason, I'm going to say that, you know, Leonard Fournette is my unsung hero or kind of guy, you know, my guy who, you know, definitely deserves some recognition for the win that we had against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Absolutely, man. You know, Lenny was my pick for MVP coming into the, you know, as of my prediction, and he definitely showed out. Chris, who would you say is another standout performer for the Bucs for this game?
I'm gonna actually go with Byron Leftwich, man. I think he called a really good game. The first two drives were a little like I didn't know if he was, you know, he got some trick plays there and some questionable play calls early, but after that, I feel like the play calling was really smooth. I mean, we ran the ball 28 times between Fournette and Jones. I think that's what I talked about last week was staying on the field, keeping our defense fresh, sustaining long drives. Setting Brady up for the play action. So I think he called a really, really, really good game to help us get the victory and to keep the pressure off Brady and mix in the play calling here and there. And just I don't know if he's really been talked about a lot as far as the game he's called, but I was just really impressed overall with the play calling in the game.
Yeah. Mikey, who's your stand-up performer?
Yeah, so first I'd like to agree with both Chris and Musab. I think the running game with Fournette was outstanding, standout. I would also throw Rojo in there. I think he had a great game as well. Offensive coordinator definitely called a great game. If I had to pick one player as a standout, I would pick Antoine Winfield Jr. 6 tackles, 1 interception, a few pass deflections. Just a solid game, brought the attitude, brought that presence from the safety position that we needed. And, you know, that guy, he's a standout. And for him to come in and play as a rookie the way he has, I think that just it shows a lot. And he'd be my standout player for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess bringing up the rear, I'll throw in the name Levante David. We haven't brought him up at all. 6 tackles, 2 pass deflections, but all in all, I mean, we talk about this was really a complete team effort, and so I think that these guys should be lauded for not having a weak link. Like, we didn't have one guy have a really bad game overall. I mean, everyone pitched in. I mean,
complimentary football.
Yeah, we could also said Ndamukong Suh. Any one of us could have brought up Suh, and it's just every. I mean, really, man. Maybe we're really high from being champions and everything, but I'm watching this game like they figured it out. Oh, yeah. They really did across the board, and there's really no wrong answer. Whether you're talking about coordinators, and I think that. I mean, Bowles and Leftwich are both making really big cases for them down the road of probably being a head coach somewhere. It might take another few years, and I'm hoping that we keep the band together. But I mean, this particular, I mean, all you got to do is slap down the box score of this game and be like, here's what I can do, and show that I can take top talent, we can put them together, and Levante David for me just really showed that he was one of these big complementary pieces that allowed a Devin White to do his thing, that was helped out by the front line, of course, but you know, no one broke a tackle. Everyone was just right where they needed to be, and that to me is a good thing when you don't have any weak links.
It all came together at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. And you know, we talked about a lot of these X factors. We talked about our MVPs. Let's take a small break, and when we come back, I'm going to get kind of big moments and big takeaways from each of the guys on the panel here. We'll have all that and more after the break. welcome back into this Super Bowl championship edition of RBLR Sports. Guys, we've talked about singular players and we've talked about the coaches that really stood out as kind of most valuable people. Now let's talk about some of our maybe big takeaways or maybe some special moments that you guys saw in the game. Mikey, I'll start with you, man. What was your kind of big takeaway or something that you got why the BUCS were able to hoist Lombardi Trophy?
This was a complete team win, from the offensive line protecting Tom Brady to Tom Brady playing like the GOAT, to the receivers and his running backs being the weapons that we thought they were, to the other side of the field with the defense, from the defensive line to linebackers to the safeties and cornerbacks. I mean, this was a complete win. We dominated them in every facet of the game. And, this is the type of football that we wanted and we expected to see. And we saw it at the biggest game on the biggest stage of the season. So my big takeaway was just a complete game. Everyone knew their roles, knew their parts, and played, executed excellently.
Yeah, I would think. How do you think they just had this complete 180 from the last time they played the Chiefs, Mikey?
Well, we've been on before this game. It was a 7-game winning streak.
Yeah.
We lost that game, went into a bye week, and I think that may have been a wake up call. And I think they were just focused, man. I think coaching honed in on what they needed to focus on with each individual team or each individual player, and I think they took this serious. And we were underdogs in every single game in this playoff run, starting with Washington and then with New Orleans and Green Bay. Everyone thought we were going to lose each one of those games. I think they took that personally, and they really focused and communicated well. And when a team comes together and they have that one goal and they know what they're focused on, and they have the talent level that we have, if you combine those things, I think this is the result you get.
Yeah, and Mikey, were you surprised that they just were firing on all cylinders in this game?
No, honestly, I wasn't surprised at all. I maybe a little bit surprised that we shook up Mahomes the way we did and had him running to the degree that we had him, running around for his life. But this is kind of what I wanted to see and what I expected to see. A little surprised that Mahomes wasn't able to connect on some of those shots. I thought it'd be a little bit closer than what it was. But, I saw this coming, man. We've been playing really good football against really good teams, starting with Washington and all the way through the playoffs, man. We dominated the Saints. We dominated Green Bay. We dominated other good teams in the season. So there were flashes of this type of performance throughout the season, and it just came together at the right time.
Yeah, man. Musab, man, what's a big takeaway or that you think the BUCS were able to accomplish, man?
The big takeaway was, I would just say the regular season contributed to as well, but also the fact that, now Tom Brady, after having a very interesting season, a season more with ups than downs, but we had those moments which were a little sad or disappointing. But anyways, with Tom Brady and the rest of these guys coming to the Super Bowl with this mentality of, well, hey, we finally made it. We're being led by the GOAT. And on the defensive side, we're a tank, but the thing is, as much as we can, do a good job, at the end of the day, it counts on how many points. So here we are going against the Kansas City Chiefs, who won last year. They got a amazing quarterback, tight end, and wide receiver. So my takeaway from the game was, we gave it all we had, and we fired all cylinders. We were able to get in their heads, and what Mikey was saying with their defense, kind of making Mahomes run for his life, was yes, I was surprised that some of those passes didn't connect, But then again, if it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're Mahomes, Rodgers, or whether you're Jameis Winston, when you have a bunch of those big linemen or safeties running at you full speed, or you got someone like Devin White running at you, just chasing for you, you're gonna kind of be freaking out. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I need to get rid of this ball, otherwise I'm gonna get sacked, or this might lead to a fumble or something like that. So that kind of pressure, especially playing in the hometown of Tampa Bay, and it's a Super Bowl, so this is everything. It really just accumulated. So the defense, my big takeaway was the defense showed, I think this whole league, football fans, the BUCS, the Chiefs, everyone, this whole world, that as beautiful as, the offense was looking, and as beautiful as Tom Brady and the rest of the guys performed, the reason why we kept them at 9 was strictly because of our defense and the pressure. I mean, all guys. Devin White, was just doing a little bit of everything, which I just loved, and that's kind of really what I just got out from the game. Was I was surprised to see that they only scored 9 points on us, all being field goals as well. I'm thinking to myself, wow, Patrick Mahomes can't even score a touchdown on us. So this was a statement game. Yes, this was a Super Bowl and this was the last game, but I would say if this was a regular season game, or maybe even the first game of the playoffs, if we played them, obviously we wouldn't because they're in different conferences, but if it was, this definitely would have shown our future opponents and everyone in the future as well, and I mean, I'm talking about next season, that this is, we're talking about the real deal. Yeah, obviously, we're not going to be playing like this every single game, that's just how it is, but when we're hot, we're scary. We are real scary, because we just made the former MVP last year, Patrick Mahomes. We got him sacked 3 times, and we didn't let him connect to anyone in the touchdown in the end zone.
Yeah. Now we were talking about how this defense, like, they got that swag, man. When they're on and when they're firing all cylinders, they just have a different feeling to them. How do you think this defense, Musab, coming out off of the NFC Championship game, coming off of beating the Saints, coming off of kind of having a wild card thrown at them with the Washington football team? What do you think that experience in the playoffs got them ready for this particular Super Bowl?
He got them ready for a little bit of everything. What the Washington football team, the Saints, and the Packers all brought to the table, we kind of, accumulated it all, took a little bit out of, a page out of all their books to be prepared for the Kansas City Chiefs. And the fact that, this was a kind of it was a chippy game. We were getting each other's faces. My guy Devin White was really getting up in those Chiefs players' faces, letting them know, hey, I'm coming for you, I'm coming for you. Same with the rest of the guys, Jason Pierre-Paul and Kamadong Su, even Vita Vea. I mean, all these guys, Shaq Barrett. Oh man, I mean, I can keep going on and on, but we were just showing them that we're a whole different team that we played in Week 12. And the thing is, the vibe I got from at least the secondaries was, at least more towards Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, was that, this is, hey, Mr. Hill and Mr. Kelce, this is our last game. Whether we win or lose, this is our last game. And we are willing to do anything to make sure that y'all stay contained and y'all don't score on us. And that's what they did. I'm really happy they were able to do that. I'm sure everyone knows that iconic little peace sign that Antoine Winfield gave to Tyreek Hill. Those things, if I was Tyreek Hill, I would be a little motivated from that. But being that it was kind of near the end of the game and, you already got a little banged up Mahomes, it makes you feel a little vulnerable or attacked. Now you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are, they're getting in my head, they're getting in all my other, teammates' head. We're screwed, and it's the small things that kind of all accumulated and affected the Chiefs' kind of way of playing.
Chris, I'll ask you, what's kind of a big moment or a big takeaway that you have from this Super Bowl?
That Tom Brady is officially the GOAT for life. He sealed the GOAT. I don't think we'll ever see anybody ever like him. He literally picked a team and we went to the Super Bowl. We wouldn't be in the Super Bowl without him. We wouldn't have won the Super Bowl without him. He's his legacy. His 7 rings. It's almost like he's not real, It's
he's a video game character.
He's like a cyborg, sent from outer space to destroy everyone except the teams he's on. It's wild, man. I've never seen anything like it. The guy goes out there and he just knows the game of football. He knows how to play. He loves football. You can tell he's passionate. He fires up his teammates. He gets everyone going, and that leadership was really what we've been missing and what we need for our team to succeed. We haven't had a leader like him. I don't know if we've ever had a leader like him, honestly. Maybe Derek Brooks and John Lynch, but as far as that, it's just the passion he brings to the team and the motivation he brings. You can tell this team this year was just a totally different team once things got going and once the team started clicking and he took over, and it was just, man, it was just probably one of the best football seasons I've ever watched, minus the first couple weeks when we struggled. But man, towards the end of the season, we were seeing some really, really, really good football being played, and I'm not taking anything away from the defense, but man, Brady's just he's phenomenal.
Now, do you think Tom Brady was able to distance himself from that Belichick Patriots dynasty thing, and like, how do you feel about him leaving that and forging kind of his own way here in Tampa?
Yeah, I think he really wanted to do that. I think he was more motivated than anything to go prove to everybody that he's not a system quarterback, that he doesn't need Belichick, that he doesn't need New England, and that's surrounded him for a lot of years, and him being a 7th round draft pick, and people just, he's a system quarterback, he's not going to succeed anywhere else, and this and that, and all the negativity, and he doesn't have the people he needs, and he came here and he just, man, I don't know, man. The guy's just, the GOAT. I don't know, he's just phenomenal. It's you watch him play and you're just like, man, this guy is just, I don't know. You watch him play and it's like watching almost like a creative player on a video game, like he's just out there delivering passes and plays and carving up the defense and making really, really smart decisions. And I think his intelligence in football is impeccable, and I don't know if we're ever going to see another. I don't know if I want to say player, but quarterback for sure like him.
That dime he threw to Gronkowski in the back of the end zone was beautiful. It was a laser.
Well, and Chris, I was going to ask you too. There's reports about Brady kind of sending the same text message every night at 11 p.m. We will win. And we have stories about him, talking to Devin White. Oh, hey man, you didn't make the Pro Bowl. Well, great. We're looking for the Super Bowl. That kind of stuff. Is there anything else that you could talk about? Maybe Tom Brady off the field and how that played into this game.
I just think it comes down to his leadership, man. I really do. I think it's just the guys trusted him, and they had that. You could tell the whole team's confidence went up when he showed up and he started, leading the locker room and taking over some of the play calling and showing these guys like, we're not worrying about the little things and let's just worry about getting the big ship. Let's not worry about the Pro Bowl. Let's not worry about all that stuff. Let's worry about the Super Bowls, the things people talk about, the things people don't forget, the things everyone's going to remember that, you're going to go down as Super Bowl champions. And now we have 2 Super Bowls in Tampa, man. Wow. I'm content with no more. I don't like saying that, but 2 Super Bowls in my lifetime. I'm only 33. I never thought I would see that. There's teams that have none, you know? And the fact is that we've been to the Super Bowl twice. We've won it both times we've been there. 100%. And that's 2-0 in the Super Bowl. I'll take it, man. I'll take it all day. And Brady being here, it just I feel like helped the team a lot, and I'm really hoping if we can restructure his contract, he can play till he's 70 years old and maybe get 50 rings, and start putting him on his toes, I don't know.
What's the joke? How old is his son? So whenever his son is able to come to the league, he'll play him in the Super Bowl.
Right, yeah. That'd be funny.
Well, yeah, I mean, the one thing I'd say about Tom Brady too is they're really, man, it feels so like wrong to think like, man, there's everything we say is so positive and amazing, and Tom Brady, I think you really encapsulated it by saying like it doesn't feel like it's real. This doesn't feel like any other NFL story ever. I mean, even a guy like Peyton Manning, who now Brady is the second player to ever win a Super Bowl with two different teams. But even Peyton Manning like had way more downs than Tom Brady, who just has never. I mean, other than being injured completely one year and having like a pretty bad year last year, he's just consistently amazing. And it's kind of hard as an analyst to have nothing but glowing things to say about a guy, but it's all true with Tom Brady. So,
it is, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know, man. I sometimes I'm just speechless, and I love sports and I love football, and sometimes I just don't have anything to say about him because what can you say that you haven't already said or seen from him,
Yeah. Well, here's another thing. Off the field, he's his own GM. He brings in guys who all scored touchdowns in this game. They were guys that were personally brought in on the recommendation of Tom Brady or that he personally recruited. I mean, obviously Gronkowski is at the top of that list, with a couple touchdowns. But we talked about playoff Lenny. He came in late in the season and later on in the season, and that's because Brady reached out and said we need a veteran running back here. You talk about Antonio Brown coming in for peanuts on the pennies on the dollar, to kind of rehab his career. But Antonio Brown catches a touchdown in the Super Bowl, let alone what he's done in the playoffs this year. And just adding that third number one receiver that we have on this team. It's just ridiculous. I mean, hell, even Ryan Suckup was a free agent addition. Maybe Brady probably didn't have too much to do with him, but all these guys coming in, all newcomers that I don't want to talk about the future too much on this show, but it's kind of like who else wants to join this team because of Tom Brady and because that window isn't just open. We blasted a hole in the wall when you bring in a Tom Brady, Now, my kind of like big takeaway was that, I mean, it was a unified front by the defense, and it was an amazing performance by Tom Brady and everyone on the offense. But, if you look at the stats, Mikey, you had kind of talked about this a lot of times too, is you look at the stats and they might not tell you the whole story. I mean, if you look down team stats of BUCS versus Chiefs, it's pretty similar down the line between yards gained and passing yards and all this kind of stuff. But where the difference really lies, and I think it's one thing that's apparent when you watch this game, is that Kansas City played undisciplined football in the biggest game of the year. And now I'm not saying that the BUCS didn't have a few setbacks. I mean, we haven't really talked about it, but, there were some calls that were missed. Ndamukong Suh punching a dude in the face probably should have been a penalty,
Agreed.
And there was a couple, helmet to helmet hits that they didn't call on the quarterback, But with all that said, every team, usually the BUCS are the team all that stuff goes against. All of these 50-50 things, all of these, oh my God, why did we get called for that penalty when that usually happens to us. And, at pivotal moments, the Chiefs just kept not getting the coin flip or literally dropping the ball. I mean, the Chiefs had a Brady interception that would have turned the tide. It would have been a pretty good momentum swinger, and it gets called back on a penalty. The Chiefs at one point held the BUCS to a field goal, but one guy decided to line up offsides on the field goal, and the BUCS scored on the immediate play after that. I mean, you have the honey badger running around, Tyrann Mathieu. He's yelling and he's screaming, and Brady's screaming back at him. But while our guys have that swagger and they're flying around and we see that they're leveling up. Well, you know, Honey Badger looks like he's off kilter. He's been outmanned, outplayed. And I mean, and that kind of seeped into their offense with all this disruption that the defense is causing. It just got piled on when you have 3 dropped receptions that should have been big-time scores that are literally hitting the face masks of the receivers. And so as much as, I mean, the BUCS absolutely came to play, and we expected that to happen, but we also expected the Chiefs to play an amazing game as well. That's why we all had these under 1 score, you know, predictions about how close and how epic this game was going to be. But unfortunately, it was epically bad because of just untimely drops, untimely penalties, and all these things that, I mean, you know me, I talk about all the little things, and these were big mistakes that Kansas City played, that when you have a team like the BUCS that are just firing on every cylinder, man, if you're in a go-kart and you're playing against a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, it's the worst time to do that. And that's kind of my big takeaway of this game, that one of the things that we haven't talked about. So guys, there's really not much more that we can say other than, like, everyone played well. Everyone, all of the defense, the offense. I mean, you could sit here and just do an hour just on the offensive line playing great, the receivers playing great, the linebackers playing great, the secondary. You know, we kept saying, oh, question mark, question mark, question mark. Well, guess what? They answered everything, passed with flying colors. Let's take one more break, and when we come back, I kind of want to get personal, and I want to ask you guys what this second Super Bowl victory means to each of you and your BUCS fandom, and what you would say, how this kind of shapes how the season, how the past, how the future all coalesce to BUCS fandom. Let's get into that after the break. All right, fellas, welcome back from the break. We got one last segment. Let's talk about what this victory means to you as a BUCS fan. Musab, I'll bring you in first, man. Tell me, what does this second Super Bowl mean to you, man?
It means everything to me, honestly. I mean, I told you in the beginning of this podcast that, you know, since I moved to Florida in 2005, I haven't seen the BUCS even reach the playoffs, and now in 2020/2021, when we finally do, we make it all the way to the Super Bowl, and then we bring back the trophy, or I don't even want to say bring back, we keep the trophy in our city, and you know, it's just such a great feeling, being a true Buck fan for the last, I would say 4 or 5 years, when I really got into the BUCS. We've had our tough years in the past, and that's, I don't know if there's anyone specific to blame, Jameis Winston, but anyways, but no, on the real though, you watch your team kind of, I don't know, they don't make the playoffs, and I don't know, you hear other people showing off and kind of gloating about, oh, hey, my team's going to the playoffs again, or bro, look how good my team is doing, etc., etc. And to finally have that feeling that, our team, our Buccaneers, have made it to the playoffs, it hypes you up, it makes you excited. And then, game by game, it just becomes more and more exciting. And just the experience and the fact that, the BUCS reached the conference championship and then the Super Bowl, it's been absolutely just surreal. I can't believe that just within a year, the table is completely turned. We get a guy like Tom Brady, Gronk, and a few other guys like Antonio Brown and Fournette to join our gang and to finally take us to the championship and win it for us. it's a beautiful thing, Eureka and Mikey and Chris. It really is.
Yeah, man, it's no, I would say Musab too. I mean, knowing that you're joining the kind of Bucks fandom, it's still kind of new, was there kind of before this season, how did you feel about kind of the history of the Buccaneers leading into this playoff or into this season?
We had a good history, although we only won the one Super Bowl, we've had some really good seasons in the past, and I just felt that, hey, coming into this new season, hopefully things will change. We got Bruce Arians, Leftwich, leading these guys now, and I think I was very excited the fact that Brady and Gronk are going to be together. Honestly, I didn't think honestly that we were going to make it this far. I really didn't, because as beautiful and amazing as the GOAT Tom Brady is, and the rest of the guys are, it takes some time for a guy who's been working with one team his whole life to finally kind of transition. And I remember I kind of gave you this comparison, and I don't want to say this is anything similar to the military, but when you got one guy who's a Navy SEAL for so many years, and then now you're throwing him to become an Army Ranger combat medic, it's yeah, he can still do a great job, but it's going to take him a little time to kind of adjust to the new field that he's in. Sure. And he did such a great job. This was a historical moment in all of our lives. I made sure to get my Super Bowl merchandise because. And it's not that, oh, hey, look how happy I am and look how, I can show this off when I go, to pick up groceries next time at Costco or something. This was something that, hey, 25 years from now, I'm going to make sure I take care of these, these jerseys and these T-shirts. And, when my kids see, they see this, they may not realize how valuable and how much, these jerseys and shirts mean to me, because this is always going to be my team forever, no matter what happens. I'll always be with them through thick and thin. And this is a year I'm never going to forget, because of the coronavirus pandemic. I wasn't too happy with with how life was going over last summer. And then, things started to open up a little bit. Sports came back. The Lightning won. The Rays made it to the, World Series. And now our Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now crowned the champions of this year. So this is a moment. This is a year. And that last Sunday is a Sunday I will never forget.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a special year. Mikey, what does this victory, this Super Bowl, mean to you as a Bucs fan?
It means we're the best team in the NFC South, man. We're two-time Super Bowl champions. Mm-hmm. Musab guys are kind of easy. He's been a fan for 5 years. I've been a fan since '97, since I was 10 years old, man. So I became a fan when the Bucs started to turn around and become a successful franchise. Mm-hmm. We had an amazing defense. Never really had an offense, but we had Mike Allstott, which was always fun to watch. Yeah. So I was there front and center when we won that first Super Bowl. And I remember it vividly. I was at the parade. I was at the stadium. Wow. I touched the Lombardi Trophy. And then things quickly went downhill after that. Yeah. And I never jumped ship. I always wore my Buck gear. I always repped. I was close to a few fights with Philadelphia Eagles fans whenever they come to the stadium. I'm a diehard, man. So going through what we went through, Jeff Garcia's quarterback, Chris Sims, we had a bunch of other no-name quarterbacks. Yeah. Josh Freeman, who was Michael Jackson's lookalike at one point there. Jameis Winston, we went through it, man, and Chris can attest to it too. We had some roller coasters, some glimpses of success and happiness, just to be quickly, flushed down the drain with disappointment and failure again. And when I felt like last year we were close, obviously with Jameis throwing 30 picks, and a few pick sixes, man, it just wasn't gonna get it done. So when we got Brady, and I knew that the Super Bowl was here in Tampa, I flirted with the idea, man, it'd be epic to actually play a Super Bowl in our home stadium, and for it to come to fruition, and for it to happen, and for us to be Super Bowl champions, man, it's epic, man. And hey, we're the best team in the NFC South. We're the Super Bowl champions, 2-time Super Bowl champions, and I'm gonna raise that flag and I'm gonna scream it proud, go Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, you said it. You know, I drive by that stadium every day, and yeah, you do flirt with that idea when they're on this winning streak, when they're doing so well. And I mean, even when they weren't so hot, you still had, you know, that Tom Brady kind of thing in the back of your head, like
it wasn't over.
They're gonna figure it out. And now, Mikey, I would say, like, how good does it feel after the Dirk Cutters, after the Lovie Smiths, after the Sean Kings and the Jeff Garcias and the Freemans and all this stuff, to see where they are today? Like, how do you feel today, right now, about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man?
I just want to hold them tight and just never let go. You know, I just don't. Tom Brady, just keep playing. You know, Bruce. You know, you can sit back and relax if you want to, but Todd Bowles, you got to stick around. And I just want to keep this team together. You know, keep the band together. I'm excited, man. I know we'll be together for at least 1 or 2 more years. Yeah. So I'm gonna just ride this wave and enjoy it as it is.
Now, and Mikey, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of seems like the last Super Bowl team was just chock full of Hall of Famers, right? I mean, Brooks, Sapp, Lynch, right? Newly minted Hall of Famer, Joe Lynch, right?
Barber, hopefully one of these
Barber,
days.
Yeah, of course, Rondé Barber. Now, there might be some Hall of Famers on this squad, but it seems like it's different because it's a young core. There's still, for as good as everyone is, there's still there's like unlimited potential kind of everywhere. And this year, as up and down as it was because of the youth, like I said, I was going to ask you, how do you feel this squad is different or similar to the last Super Bowl champion that we had?
Yeah, well, let's go back and give an MVP award to Jason Light, because he put one hell of a team together, man. Like you said, a lot of these, I saw a stat of his draft picks these last few years, and I mean, a lot of contributors, man. I mean, Devin White, Vita Vea, Sean Murphy Bunting, Carlton Davis. We got Tristan in the front line this year. Winfield. This year compared to this Super Bowl compared to the first, you know, we have a very young nucleus that we can build around. And hopefully we can retain for a long time to come. So, you know, I think we may be able to repeat. I know on that first Super Bowl, a lot of our players were on the decline of their prime of the careers. You know, John Lynch left soon after. Sapp left soon after, and then things were never the same. And you know, if we can keep this team together the way it is now, you know, eventually have to find a replacement quarterback for Brady to pass the torch to. But I won't worry about that until he's gone. You know, I wouldn't draft anyone until he's gone, or I'd continue to build around him until he decides to leave. So, you know, I think if we can keep this team together, man, there's potential for a 2-peat, a 3-peat.
Crazy. Chris, I'll ask you, man. Overall, man, how do you feel about the Bucs right now, and what does this victory mean?
It means everything, man. I've been in Tampa my whole life, man. I've been through it all with the Bucs. You know, the Freeman days. I actually went to Freeman's very first start back against the Packers, and we beat the Packers. And I remember getting all excited and hyped up, and then everything was just downhill after that. Freeman was just Freeman, you know, and we we had Bruce Gradkowski for a little bit. I mean, we were bad. I mean, who has Bruce Gradkowski as a starting quarterback in the NFL? You know, I mean, that's we're reaching. You know what I mean? You know, yeah, Jeff Garcia, he was all right, and Brad Johnson, you know, and Brad Johnson, we won the Super Bowl, and we just never had anybody like Brady. And I was honestly, when we signed Brady, I was worried, like, is this really happening? Like, you know, we're the Bucs. What are we doing signing the GOAT? You know, that we don't do this. This doesn't happen. You know, it's a Bucs life every year. You know, something happens. Yeah. It's like, It's a Bucks life, you know. Winston's very first pass was a pick six, and I almost lost my mind, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, man, it's a Bucks life again. Like, he's starting his career with a pick six, and I'm a Florida State fan, so I supported Winston through and through. But, man, after those first couple years, I just didn't see him improving. And, you know, he went through all that, and it's just – it's great, man, to see this team, to see how far we've come from what we've come from to the team we have now. I mean, our team is absolutely, you know, loaded with weapons and offense, and our defense is so young that we could build around them and, you know, get a veteran guy in the secondary and help them out a little bit. And it's really, really good to be a Bucks fan right now, man. I mean, we were through some really, really, really rough times, and you never knew what you were getting into each season. Every season was all off-season hype. You know, we'd go to the training camps and we'd all be excited. And I remember when we got Dirk as the head coach, and you know, he had his big following, and the training camps were sold out, and people were going nuts, and we were all hype and excited. We got this team, and then boom, it was nothing. You know, another dud, another missed year of the playoffs. You know, and I think this team's just. Man, it's changed a lot. We're changing the culture, you know. I'm hoping we're heading in the right direction for a couple winning seasons at least with this team. I hope Brady can stick around, and you know, Mike Evans was saying he'll restructure his contract, and Brady wants to restructure his. So you can see the team wants to win. You can see the guys are getting along very well and working together, and to see professional athletes do that, I mean, that says a lot to me. You know, most athletes are all about the money sometimes and not really caring about that, but you can tell that these guys want to stay together and they want to win. And as a Bucks fan, man, it's really good to see that.
Now, Chris, do you think you know, this whole podcast we haven't brought up Bruce Arians? We've talked a lot about the coordinators and the great job that they've done, and a lot of that's because Bruce Arians gives them the autonomy to really take control, and they should rightfully so deserve the credit. But you know, Bruce Arians coming out of retirement to come here for the Bucks, you know. Chris, you had talked about, you know, the highlights of Dirk Cutter mania, but what do you think this team looks like because of Bruce Arians?
I think it looks a little more. We look a lot structured. I think the discipline has definitely improved. You know, we were one of the most penalized teams in the league, and we started that way a little bit this year with some of the dumb penalties and the offensive lines and the false starts. But man, after like week 3, I think week 4, maybe our penalties declined tremendously, and I think his leadership and the guys are, you know, willing to listen to him and listen to Brady too. But definitely, you know, they talk about him being the quarterback whisperer, and I don't think that really worked out too well with Winston, and I think more that was Winston's fault. And Winston, I don't blame everything on him, but the offensive line didn't protect him as much as I would like. But you know, with him being the quarterback whisperer, I expected a lot more from Winston than what we got. And I think once he left, I feel like him and Brady just really got along really well, and Bruce knew what he was getting with Brady, and you know, they worked really well together. They meshed well together, and yeah, he's probably definitely one of the better coaches we've had, you know, over our history.
Yeah, Mikey or Musab, I feel like we really do need to bring up Bruce Arians a little bit. Musab, do you have something to talk about the coach?
Yeah, you know, it's with his experience that he's had in the past, you know, working with people like Ben Roethlisberger, I felt confident that he was going to do something. You know, prior to the season, I knew he was going to do something with Tom Brady and the rest of these guys. Overall, with the guys on offense and with the guys on defense, he's got some good leadership, a great resume, and I don't think anyone has anything bad to say about him. So really, when it came down to the start of the season, it kind of just came down to, all right, well, how is someone like Bruce Arians going to fit with the Bucs organization, and how is he going to fit with someone like Tom Brady, who is going to be the leader of the team, of course. And I mean, he did a phenomenal job. I really do like his attitude, you know, throughout the whole playoff, which was he was kind of a little more serious / stern / I want to say focused. He took each win as a really nice win in the playoffs, but you know, at the end of the day, he kept his eyes on the prize, which was a Super Bowl. And I guess all that focus and determination really paid off.
Yeah, Mikey, anything to add about Bruce
Yeah,
Arians?
man. I think just his swag is infectious, and people feed off of that. And I've heard, throughout the playoffs and the season that he allows players to be themselves. Heard that from Gronk and a few other players that they love playing for him. He just lets them be them. When you nourish those type of relationships and you allow players to be themselves, and you give them, a positive environment where, you feed them good football and positivity and swag. This is the product you get, man. You get players that are confident in themselves and, feel confident in their play and in their abilities. And, this is the result you get, man. You get swaggy play out there.
Yeah, and I think that feeds into my kind of takeaway and my feelings, and that's sort of what Chris had brought up about, it showed that it's a Bucks life. That's a heavy saying around here, but that wasn't true this year. And for the Bucks, when they started out, kind of up and down, and they did great, but then they lost to the Bears, and at one point they're 7-5, and that included them only winning 1 out of 4 games going into the last 4 weeks before their bye week. And 3 of those losses were against, playoff teams. And, the questions start seeping in about, just like in the past, okay, they're good, but can they really handle the Saints, who they've lost to? Can they handle the Rams, who they lost to? Can they handle the Packers again? I mean, yeah, they won, but was it a fluke? Was it lucky? Is it a Bucks life? And but this year, this team, these coaches, and specifically with the Tom Brady kind of lifting all the boats, these guys just went out and did it. It wasn't a Bucks life. Well, it's completely different than the past. And I mean, even just talking from the last time we won the Super Bowl to now, Mikey brought up the highest of highs, but then all of a sudden and this happens to a lot of Super Bowl teams, is you win the Super Bowl and then you get dismantled. Guys, they chase money, they get more, they got their ring, now they want the money, and so they leave, and it's a whole new challenge to restructure a Super Bowl winning team. But the way that this team is constructed, I mean, these guys went out and avenged the losses with 3 games on the road to force a showdown with what is being hailed as the next NFL dynasty. The Chiefs are young. They have unquestionably a great quarterback and someone who's going to be a great quarterback for the next decade, right? But this Bucks team, this is why this is so special, guys. This Bucks team had the grit. They had the determination. They went into the valley, and they had a guy, they had coaches around, they had leadership that pulled them out of that hole and turned them from a mediocre, okay, maybe we'll make the playoffs, into a true contender, and then a true contender that actually realized that potential. And to be honest with you, man, the Chiefs, maybe they're not the next Patriots dynasty. Maybe they're not the next Steelers. Maybe they're not the next 49ers. Maybe they're more like the 90s Packers, who had an MVP quarterback, and they even won a Super Bowl, and they went back to a Super Bowl as a defending champion, but they never could really get back on top. And I think you're seeing a crossroads right now between a young Bucks core that the future is very bright, and the talent is, in a few places there is unlimited potential for a lot of these young guys. And even if you're talking about a Mike Evans who's already been around for almost 10 years, and you've got hopefully a few more years with a Tom Brady, you've got a lot of really good working parts that I've got to think that everyone listening that's a Bucks fan, that it's right now you have to be very, very happy with sort of the overachieving that's happened. I know we had very high expectations, but Musab brought it up that it's unlikely that we win the Super Bowl. It is unlikely, and I think all we wanted was to live up to some of the expectations, that we were going to at least be a decent professional team on the field. We weren't going to be these guys who were, playing around, or we see the decline of Tom Brady right before our eyes and he just turns in another bad performance. We got all of the happiness towards the end of the season, and we're at the top of the mountain. And so you got to feel really, really good, in my opinion, as a Bucs fan right now. And like Mikey said, the future is still so bright, man. And that's really what I felt, is that It's a Bucs Life did not apply to this year, and it could have. There could have been a lot of different ways that this went, but all of the good things happened, especially in the Super Bowl. Every one of the good things happened to us, and for us now, that's, Musab, man, you talked about that T-shirt and that hat, and I think that it is something that we need to bring up in the future about. Right now, we're living in this time as Tampa Bay sports fans that is so unlikely and so magnificent and so special that I think it's worth taking a step back. It's worth looking at and really cherishing, especially in this day and age that we're living through, in this country, in this world and everything. Sports give us that little bit, as I get on my soapbox here, sports give us that little bit of escape. They give us that little bit of time where we get to yell and scream and cheer and be happy and be upset at the play call and laugh at the people that are making these bad decisions. But for all that, it is really nice to step back and say, right now, at this time, in this era, you're looking at the champions, and that is exactly what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are. Guys, I'll throw it around before we get out of here. Mikey, any last thoughts about the Super Bowl and the Tampa Bay Bucs 2020 season?
I think this was the dream team, the dream year, the dream come true, and I'm happy, man. I'm gonna enjoy this. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the off season and who we keep and who we add, who we lose. But for now, man, I'm just gonna enjoy this win. I'm gonna watch the highlights over and over again, and I'm glad to be a Buccaneer.
Absolutely, man. Musab, any last thoughts for us?
To our listeners, I hope you continue to enjoy this iconic win by our Buccaneers, and I hope you just enjoy kind of just all the wins we've had with all of our sports teams. I mean, this is really a historical year for all Tampa Bay sports teams, and this is something that you're going to remember for the rest of your lives. So take it all in and enjoy.
Absolutely, man. Chris, what do you got for us before we get out of here, buddy?
I'm kind of sad football season's over, man.
Sure.
I feel like it was here and now it's gone, but I couldn't be happier and more proud of this team and how far we've come, and everyone just enjoying the moment and just seeing all of Tampa, just the passion of the fans right now, the Bucs flags everywhere, everyone's celebrating. It's a really good feeling right now, man. Rolling from the Stanley Cup into the Super Bowl and the Rays going to the World Series. I mean, if you would have told me this 5 years ago, I looked at you like you're nuts or you're crazy, So I got $200 worth of Super Bowl merch I ordered, still waiting for it. I had about $500 worth in my cart, and my wife looked at me like I was crazy.
Okay,
so,
flex.
So I'm not trying to flex. Not trying to flex.
Look at this guy.
No, not trying to flex.
All right.
But I had to take some stuff out, and I'm just enjoying the moment, man. I really am. Yeah.
Yeah, what's
right,
up?
Right?
What's up, man?
Just enjoying the moment, man. We got to enjoy this moment. It was a home game. It was a Super Bowl at home. We might never see this ever again, and just really enjoying it. And I'm gonna before I go, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to the Lightning, who are 9-1-1, and we've won 6 games in a row. So we're rolling right into hockey season, and hopefully we can see back-to-back Stanley Cup champs.
Exactly, and that leads me right into the future of our podcast here. Now it is bittersweet that as much as it's exciting that we get to raise the Lombardi Trophy, and only one team gets to do that every year, and it's your team that gets to do it this year, we are not stopping. We are continuing on. We have Chris with all of our Lightning coverage. We have the Rays right around the corner, and football never really stops, man. We've got the draft right around the corner. Mikey talked about free agency moves. There's a lot of chess that gets done in between this day right now and training camp that's right around the corner, guys. It never really stops. So all I can say to everyone out there is thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to us. And on our social media, we keep it rolling, man. We are crawling towards almost, talk about flex, it's small right now, and one day we'll laugh about it, but we're almost at 100 followers on most of our social media. So it's working, man. Keep telling people, if you're listening and you like what we're doing, we are at RBLR Sports on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We're on Facebook. And if you can help us out with a like and a subscribe and a follow, all those things, I know everyone begs for them, but they really do help, because it shows that you like what we're doing. And if you just tell one person about what we're doing, man, that it helps us out a lot. So if you could like us, if you're on Spotify, if you're on Stitcher, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Apple or Google Podcasts, man, help us out with a like and subscribe, and it really, really, really does show the rest of the world, man, when they show up, that they're late to the party. You already are here, so give us that one little thing, and man, we can't wait to give you more and more and more about your Bolts, your Bucks, your Lightning, and your Rowdies. And this is something I wanted to bring up, that we're going to, over the next couple weeks, be talking about how special this time and all of these championships in Champa Bay have been to this community and to all of us fans. So we're going to be talking to some of the top voices in USL about the Rowdies. We're going to be talking, I know Chris has a lot of thoughts about how amazing the Stanley Cup run was last year. And of course, who could forget, especially the big Randy Arozarena run in the playoffs. So I think we're going to take a step back here over the next couple weeks and kind of talk about how great all of those things are and were, as your Bolts keep continuing to run amok in
Absolutely.
the NHL. So it's an exciting time. It's a wonderful time. It's one of the most unthinkable times, really, in sports history for Tampa Bay. And you are here listening to it all on RBLR Sports. So for all the guys, we are going to bid you adieu, and we will see you next week. Thank you, guys. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.